What up, y'all? Our track is worldwide, global now. That is The Things That You Hate by Sen and Grove of 495L4. That's right, it's being heard all around the world in many different countries in Europe and Asia and all the continents where urban, hip-hop, rap, R&B, pop music is played. That's right, we fucking did it. And we could not have done it without you, the audience, fans. If you are a true as fuck fan and you're not some piece of shit, dirtbag, scumbag, motherfucking asshole, bitch-made, chump-made motherfucker, and you truly, genuinely, sincerely appreciate what we do, respect what we do, and fucking goddamn support what we do, then we, 495 as a whole, worldwide network, man, we most certainly, truly respect what you do, appreciate what you do, and support what you do if you're in fact a true fucking fan. And you should already know that shit by now. So yeah, man. Yes, it is absolutely most certainly fucking true that 495L4 has just gone global, worldwide. This track is a clean radio song. It's heartfelt. It's from the heart. It's real shit. They're true stories. None of it's doctored. None of it's faked up. None of it's manufactured or contrived. It's all real. A as in alpha, F as in foxtrot. Man, look, being humble, we have received some immediate acclaim, notoriety, and recognition. People are like, yo, man, that track that you did, that you and Sen and 495L4 did as a team, that shit's fucking tight. Like, I'm liking that shit, is what people are saying to us. So, that was when we first released it. And subsequent to when we released it. That is subsequent L-Y, Lee. Subsequently. So, we were like, okay, this is the track then. Done deal. Hashtag done deal. So, we put it out worldwide. It's worldwide, man. And, thank God, you know, thank God Almighty. I mean that seriously. So I had tested the waters with some underground tracks that I recorded, just like dirty mic tracking. You know what I'm saying? Like just in the studio working on Sound Lab research. You know, researcher, analyst, developer, scientist, one Sir Grove. So, that said, over the course of several years, I shelled out cash, paid for a lot of shit with my team to trial test different digital online products and services. Fucking spent a small fortune to figure out how all this new digital shit works on this here fucking timeline. And some services were shady as fuck. Some services were mediocre and some were fucking straight legit. So over time, it's calculus, right? So amount A over T time, that's my equation that I'm using here to depict and characterize this scenario in which I, with team, figured out what pays and what fucking doesn't. What catapults our material out into where we have 140 plus countries already, where our material can be made available and is available. So we already did a material sneak move. We already did more or less a covert incognito sneak attack. To use football as an analogy, we straight did some flea flicker shit. Like on some really fucking sophisticated high-tech, covert espionage type shit. We, in fact, really, truly did that shit. Because while, that is whilst, to use the British, while, that is whilst, we were playing the hashtag ultra underdogs move approach, while we were doing that with Dirty Mike's Underground, some shit professionally recorded, some shit unprofessionally recorded, just testing the waters, seeing what we could get away with, seeing how we could push the envelope, seeing how we could do it on a shoestring budget. You know what I'm talking about? Like thin thread, like a yarn ball type shit, like thin thread, like shoestring thin thread, like yarn ball type shit. Feel me? So, yeah. So, in that equation, on some Shadow Network type shit, we're like, man, instead of going to these top-of-the-line studios and spending any fucking pennies, what if we could do this for little to zero on some thin thread yarn ball type shit? That would be dope. So, naturally, we had to spend some dough, which over time, even that minuscule, minute amount of dough, it equaled a small fortune. But nonetheless, we're not on any type of RICO shit. You hear me? Hashtag RICO. We're not on that shit. Fuck no. Hashtag been there, done that. So, moving forward, hashtag no kilos needed. Again, hashtag been there, done that. So, what you'll see is that we didn't have to sell kilograms of cocaine. I'm from the West Coast. If the West Coast was selling cocaine, I have no idea. If my neighborhood sold kilos of cocaine 25 over a quarter of a century ago, I don't know jack shit about it. My name's Grover, and I've had like over 100 jobs since the 1970s and 80s. So we're not on any kind of RICO shit. And I'm a U.S. government defense contractor certified. So that means, that equates to, that amounts to 100% Lee fucking jit. So we're like Twista, like he coined the term legit ballas. Same thing. By the way, shout outs to Twista and legit ballas. I'm just saying, we're ballers, that is 495L4, from the West Coast, bonafide certified, street bonafide certified, and we're straight fucking legit ballers. So, yeah, you know, back in the day, we were out on the blade. You feel that? You know what I'm saying? That reference and whatnot, man, doing whatever we had to do to survive. But, man, some niggas go overboard. They get carried away and do overboard shit. You know what I'm saying? We knew when to cut it off, man. You know, just like the Iran-Contra affair, like, cats involved in that shit, they knew when to cut it off, you know? But in contrast, we're not on any type of RICO shit. You know what I'm saying? The past is the past, man. And, I mean, shit, man, I sold weed, you know? Shit, it's illegal now. As for powder cocaine and crack cocaine, shit, I'm from the West Coast and I don't know jack shit about that. All I'm saying, flash forward 25 years, you don't see us on the internet holding bricks of money up to our ears and then telling the fucking world and the feds that we're selling kilos of dope. Why the fuck would triple OGs do some shit like that? We already made it out the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to sell kilos. Some motherfuckers, they desperately need, for whatever reason, to tell you that they're selling kilograms of dope on the streets while at the same time somehow being rap artists. We're not in that category. That's not the type of rap that we fucking do. We're not part of that nonsense. You'll never see us do that shit. Occasionally, man, in some of our raps, there are some subtle references and some direct and indirect references to some old school shit from the fucking past. But we don't sit here and we don't tell you, the audience, that we're pushing dope, because we're not, and we don't fucking have to. Like, we don't need to sell drugs. We've already made all of our legal, legit investments, and we're not on any type of tax audit shit. We're not on any type of fucking RICO shit. And I tell you that with confidence. I tell you that, man, I'm a U.S. government defense contractor. U.S. government monitors all this shit I do. I've worked in sensitive areas of national to international law enforcement, and I've carried out operations successfully with official member entities of the United States intelligence community. Man, I'm never gonna be doing some RICO shit, because all of my shit is straight wired up and tapped up by the feds, because I've worked in sensitive areas and there's a fucking AI system that monitors all my communications. So you won't catch me selling fucking kilograms of dope. And all my homeboys, they know never to touch that shit, because we don't have to. And we're fucking clean. So, like I said, and so that everyone understands, we ain't on no RICO shit. The neighborhoods that we come from, when we rap about that shit, man, we ain't even in the fucking hood. Man, we're from the hood, and we made it out of the fucking hood that we come from. We spent far too long in that shit. That's why we rep it, because that was our backbone. We come from that. We had to survive that. I'm from 23rd Street, Douche Tray block, which is a combination of Bloods, Crips, and all kinds of other gang sets. 23rd Street is the street that bisects, that is, cuts in half, the city that I'm from, the town that I'm from. So, given that it's a small town, historically with less than 100 people, less than 100,000 people, you like less than 100 people, less than 100,000 people. When gangs migrated from every state in the union to my small town, because they found out that I'm from, the town that I'm from, that we're from, 495L4 is from, I've talked about this, I've blogged and vlogged and vlogged and podcasted this before, but if you don't know, the town that we're from, EVT, Echo, Victor, Tango, EVT, the EVT. Sometimes we say the E with the circle around, because the city logo is a lowercase e with the circle around. There was a skate crew. It had two different names. One of the names of the skate crew was Wolfpack. The other name of the skate crew was E-Ball. And what they were talking about was the lowercase e with the circle around it, like a ball, and they were skaters and ballers at the same time. I won't go into their exploits, but my understanding is that they made over $1 million on the streets. And they're since disbanded because they made it out of the game. You know what I'm saying? But they're a legendary skate crew from the EVT, man. And one of the cats, he's deceased, man. And he's my homeboy from childhood. And he's legendary, man, in the city. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, man, R.I.P. the homie Fat Anthony. You feel that? That was the homie, man, from childhood. Big Scheme knew him. I knew him. And you ain't from my town, man, if you don't know who the late R.I.P. the homie Fat Anthony was, man. Fat Anthony was a legendary dude on the streets. And his brother, R.I.P., his big brother, who's deceased as well, Snooper. Fat Anthony's big brother, Snooper, equally legendary. So these are cats that we grew up with. All right, so the city that we come from, we all helped to put it on the map. And, man, we went through some seriously dark times and shit during the 1980s and 1990s. Some Cold War shit. And it wasn't fucking funny, and it wasn't a joke. Yeah, I lived with my wealthy uncle in the suburbs, off and on. But by the same token, even those suburban communities where I'm from, some of those homes became trap houses. So when niggas say shit like, yeah, but you're from the burbs. Well, man, I'm also from the low income projects. I'm from both. My mother and I, we lived in the projects, man, for the first 8 years of my life. The first 8 years of my life, I lived in low-income housing before my mother got her degree and we moved out to the burbs. But before that, I'm from the projects, motherfucker. So anybody out there running his or her mouth talking about you from the burbs, I'm originally from the motherfucking projects, and we made it out of that shit. So fuck you if you're going to sit there and try to ridicule and criticize and be like, I'm from the fucking suburbs originally, and I had everything on a silver platter. I didn't. I just happened to be lucky and have an uncle who was well off, who took me in at some point because my own biological dad wasn't around. So that said, man, even when I moved to the burbs, at some point, the suburbs were gang infiltrated and gang plagued in parts, depending on where you were. Because gangs came up from LA and they came out from every fucking state in the union. Because in our town, the EVT, Everett that is, West Coast, north of Seattle, 26.2 miles approximately. In that city that I'm from, at some point, crack cocaine sold for more profit than anywhere else in America, and that was headline fucking news. So if you want to talk about NWA, if you want to talk about San Francisco Bay Area, if you want to talk about any neighborhoods out there, crack cocaine was popping and cracking more in my fucking community. And I'm not saying this to embellish and condone. I'm saying our community was almost totally overrun. If you want to compare and contrast, you can go online right now and you can type Seattle is dying, and you can watch the documentary by the local news station there, and you can watch Seattle is dying. Seattle's the number 2 most dangerous city in America right now in terms of property crimes. Number fucking 2 in America. More so than Chicago, Illinois. So motherfuckers that run their mouths and they say, oh, but you from this like lovely, like wonderful, like enchanted, like community near the Emerald City. You're from somewhere near the Emerald City. First of all, I'm not from fucking Seattle. I'm from Everett. I'm from the EVT, which is north of Seattle. And we have a different culture. Yeah, I got homies in Seattle. I know cats out there. I've worked on projects with allies from Seattle. I know a lot of cats from that area. But I'm not fucking from Seattle. And I don't rep Seattle. I don't rep cities that I'm not fucking from originally in the way that some cats do, where they claim to be from Seattle, but they ain't technically from fucking Seattle. That's them and that's on them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. You know, they want to like rep Seattle. That's cool. I rep New York now, but I'm not originally from New York. I know niggas that say that they're from Seattle. They ain't fucking from Seattle, and I'm not fucking from Seattle, and I'm never gonna fucking say that I'm from Seattle. And that's the point that I'm making. There are some cats that lie and they say they're from Seattle, and I know the towns that they're really fucking from. And I don't know why they wouldn't want to rep their own towns that they're from, have at least a little bit of pride in where they're from. And that's why we put Everett on the map. Because I'm from Everett, I rep the EVT worldwide, Riverside and Bayside worldwide. Because I lived on both sides. I lived on the low end, the low income housing project side, over there by Big Scheme. He and I are from the projects originally, and the Riverside, because it is the Riverside. And that's where Sen was living, Sen the Soul Stealer. He was living out there with us when he came up from California. He lived in an area known as the dark side of the Riverside, which I used to live in that area as well. Off over by Summit, by Interstate 5. Interstate 5 has been one of the most highly trafficked, high-intensity drug trafficking areas in the United States of America. So many fucking volumes and kilos and megatons of fucking dope, weapons, every illicit, illegal contraband you can think of has been moved up and down that coast, I-5, just a few fucking centimeters away from where we grew up. And that's where all them cats be at. 19th Street boys, the homie Jake and them. I talk about niggas that be fucking Jakes. But I also have a homeboy whose name is Jake, and Jake ain't a Jake. Jake's a street soldier. And that's his homies over there on 19th Street. The homie Scoot used to live off on 19th Street. I used to live off 21st Street. The homie Ryan honestly was the cat that put me on to 23rd Street. And back in the day, there were Bloods and Crips over off on 23rd Street. Way back in the day. In full disclosure, I was never a Crip, but I associated with some Crips out there. And 23rd Street was originally, it was a Crip and blue flag zone. And then Blood started moving in. Just like in California, where you have Piru Street boys, Piru boys. Cats who don't know gangland and they don't know the history, they hear Piru, they think, oh, burgundy flags, maroon, burgundy, Piru. Pirus were originally Crips. Just in case niggas didn't fucking know that. That's right. And then later, they became Bloods. Same with cats I know. Cats I know were blue flaggers. And later became Bloods and Pirus, Damus. So, the neighborhood that I'm from is historic. The Riverside neighborhood. So you had gangs from all over the West Coast and all over America come to my town, our town that we're from. Our town is in no way, shape, or form fucking fake. In fact, like I said, if you're hip, if you've been following what I've been saying, the town that I'm from became the most rocked out, the most based out, the most fucking cracked out, smoked out, dark fucking place in America in the 1990s. Right around the time the Bone Thugs and Harmony debuted with Creeping on a Come Up. 1994, man, I lived on 23rd Street, Douche Tray block. That block is probably the most infamous block ever in the history of the EVT. And not just 23rd in the Wet 'em Up Mo block, but every single block that's along that access point right there. Because right down the street, you have a high school, and then you have the downtown area DTA, downtown area DTE, downtown Everett. That's where the gangs used to meet up for decades. I'm talking niggas from all around the United States, from Washington, D.C., from Chicago, from L.A., from Kansas, Arkansas, Texas, you fucking name it. A lot of shootouts, a lot of guns being fired, a lot of police activity, SWAT team, drug sales, man, fucking stick-ups. I mean, shit, man. Come on. You name it. Any type of crime, man. Homicides, fucking explosives being detonated by niggas wilding out in the streets with dynamite sticks and shit that they bought at the local tribal reservation on the 4th of July. Man, our city, man, there's a spot out, man, west used to be called Boomtown. Motherfuckers would go to Boomtown, man, they'd have feds out there and shit trying to buy nitro and sticks of dynamite, tennis balls filled with black powder and shit. Come on, man. Shit. Motherfuckers letting off AK-47 rounds and shit. Man, I won't even go into details. 23rd Street, yeah, it might be cleaned up like different parts of Brooklyn out here. It might be, you know what I'm saying, a little hip now, a little on the hipster side, a little upscale and affluent because they cleaned up the downtown area and the block and everywhere over where I used to live and be at. So when motherfuckers be like, don't nobody know about you out here? Don't nobody know about y'all? Ain't nobody heard of 495L4? Man, those fucking wankster-ass punk niggas, those fucking young punk kids, fucking wanksters, growing up in this world, millennials and post-millennials, they don't know us because they're out there, man. They're out there on them opioids and shit. You know what I'm saying? Part of that crisis. Thinking that they're the first motherfuckers in the world and they have no idea what came before them. And they be saying all that shit. You know why? Because misery loves company. And they be out there in them streets of the Puget Sound pretending like don't nobody know us. Because we ain't out there anymore. You know what I'm saying? We already been through tours of duty multiple. We already came from there and we're the ones that put that shit on the motherfucking goddamn map. We did that. They didn't do that. We did that shit. So of course, some niggas is jealous and envious, you know what I'm saying? And hateful because they want to pretend, they want to play make-believe, they want to be immature, and they want to pretend like our whole history doesn't exist, when in fact it does. And that's how the shit got started, because we fucking started it. So, there you have it. That's the short backstory in terms of 495L4 and where we come from. So, yeah, we know people, man, from California. You know what I'm saying? I lived in California. We know people from Texas, from Atlanta, from DC, from New York, from Chicago, from Oregon, from Idaho, from Montana, from British Columbia, from Toronto, from all the fuck over the place. You know, people from all over, man, from all 50 states and a lot of foreign nations. So, yeah, man, this track that we just put out is a game changer. Because we're not talking about anything that's misogynistic. We're not talking about selling dope. We're not talking about vanity. We're not condoning or embellishing the gang life. We're not talking about anything that's destructive. Imagine that. Those 5 fucking points right there. That already puts us in a category that's absolutely diametrically opposite, polar opposite than the shit you hear now. So that tells you that we're original. That tells you that we're not fucking copycats. That tells you that we are mature, grown men and adults, and we're forward thinking. Because we're not doing any of this shit that these fuck boy niggas is doing with this track. We kept it real, and it's based on real shit, real life shit. When I talk about my ex, my high school sweetheart, that's real shit. Everything I say is real shit. When Sen, the Soul Stealer, talks about his relationship at the beginning of the track, that's not made up. That's real shit. That's a true story. So we came 100% real. That is, we came correct. The rap is heartfelt. It's from the heart. It's 100% bona fide, street certified, West Coast legit. It's a true story, both of our stories combined, and there's no profanity in it. No, and we're not bragging, and we're not being boastful. We don't diss anyone in the rap. We keep it focused. It's not all over the place. You can hear what we're saying. It's not a mumble rap. I could keep going, man. The point is, it's some real shit, and people are feeling it. So we put it out worldwide. And that's the secret to our success, which is no longer really a secret. It's just the way that we did it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Casting 495 Celebrities Worldwide, C4CW. Check out our track, The Things That You Hate, by Sen and Grove, 495L4 2019 1.